So let me just say this really quickly. These don't bypass any of the homework. Okay, I'm going to keep hitting this. The homework is the change. This is awareness. This whole day today is about awareness and understanding, but it's not about change. Change happens when you do the work. You will understand more while you're listening to me and you do the work than if you just listen to me, go home and go, I'll do this sometime. Don't do this sometime. Do it over 7 days, okay? And these stories, when you read about people that have overcome massive health, financial, relationship challenges, it should inspire us. It's another reason we do it. It's not just to have stories to talk about at dinner time or at cocktail hours. It's also about, I need to know. There are millions of people that are doing things like Nick Vujicic. There are millions of people that have outrageous challenges in life that have made huge differences. Joe Cerulli, my mentor, is one. You know, how many guys have gone from living in a car to having their own freaking private jet? There's more than you think. How's that for an answer? There's more than you think of people that have overcome outrageously difficult challenges. Does anyone ever remember the story of Dave Pelzer? Does that name ring a bell at all? So I interviewed Dave Pelzer in the early 90s, and at the time that he was taken away from his home, his case was the worst case of child abuse ever documented in the state of California's history. He was chained to a basement floor and thrown scraps of food from his mother upstairs while the other kids sat at the table and ate anything they wanted and did anything they wanted. He was chained to the cellar. When they finally found the conditions he was in, the state of California went absolutely bonkers to realize that this could actually happen in the year that it happened in the 80s. You know? Dave Pelzer went on to become one of the most critically acclaimed writers, authors, speakers. When you Google him, it's incredible, but the story goes so deep. After I had interviewed Dave, I don't know, 5 or 6 times in the 90s, I found out that he had brought his mother into his house, had fully forgiven her, and now she's living with him and his family. You know? And why do we forgive? It's all about us. It's not about them. So we forgive. Now, there's 2 types of forgiveness. If you go to YouTube and you Google David Essel forgiveness, there's 2 types of forgiveness we talk about. Number 1 is forgiveness with release. And that is, you decide to do the work, which is intense and hard, to forgive someone who's betrayed you, lied to you, cheated on you, stole from you, beat you, whatever the answer is. We choose to forgive them without them in our presence, without ever talking to them, and we release them. And we choose to not communicate. We may block them. We may do whatever we have to do, right? That's forgiveness with release. Powerful, beautiful, absolutely necessary. And then the second is forgiveness with acceptance. And forgiveness with acceptance usually occurs when we do the hard work of forgiveness. We see the sincerity of the person apologizing for what they've done and taking full responsibility for what they've done, and then we make a choice to bring them back in. In my professional opinion, if you're ever going to forgive someone who does not take responsibility for the role that they played in the dysfunction, then I would look at that as a forgiveness and release, because you're probably asking for a hell of a lot of drama and chaos down the road. If they come to you with complete sincerity about the error that they did to betray you, cheat on you, hurt you, whatever, and they are sincerely sincere, and they show on a daily basis via action steps, not their words, that they are very sincere for what they did, then we can consider bringing them back in. Dave Pelzer, after years and years and years of being fully separated from his mother, made a decision to go from forgiveness and release to forgiveness and acceptance. And that's a personal choice. You know, if I was working with someone and they got to that decision and they were going to forgive and embrace and bring them back in, if I felt that there was no sincerity in the other person and there was no interest in healing in the other person, I would probably counsel them on reconsidering. I don't think that there's a right or a wrong answer here. I'm not going to tell you there is, because I don't know what you might be going through, and I'd have to have a lot more information, right, to know should you forgive and bring back in or forgive and release. But we pretty much have the rule of thumb that we use. Dave Pelzer is another one of the stories that you could very well find as you Google the internet and go, oh my God. And then we get a chance to question ourselves. If they can do it, could I? And let's go back to Sedona. Could I? would I, and when? Could I forgive? Would I forget it? When? Right? So that technique, which I love so much because it stops the functioning of the brain going down a wormhole of a dog chasing its tail, or as Buddha said, in our brain, 10,000 monkeys in a cell, all this kind of stuff. That Sedona method stops that stuff, and then you can process at another time. But the Sedona method is to be used in that moment. Your feelings are hurt, someone's done something against you, then, or you've made an error of yourself, Could I, would I, and when? Keep that in mind. On page 17, why is writing so powerful? We talked about this earlier, but write it down here. Writing slows the conscious mind down to allow thoughts from the subconscious to enter consciousness. Writing slows the brain down to allow thoughts from the subconscious, which often have the answers we're seeking. When people say it's all in you, you already know all this stuff, it's true for the most part. Now, there's some stuff you may not know, but for the most part, we know a lot, but we just don't slow down enough to allow that inner wisdom and intellect to come up to the surface. But when we slow down, so let's say you take a problem, and you write, here's my problem. And then you say to yourself, okay, come up with 4 answers to the problem. Just come up with any 4 answers. Don't judge it, right? Just write down, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. Don't be surprised as you're writing the second one that a 5th idea comes up. And when you're writing the 4th one, a 6th idea comes up, right? Because we've allowed the conscious mind to slow. The dog is slowing down after its tail. The monkeys have eaten some sugar and they're taking a little nap. Right, Patrick? And in that monkey taking a little nap, we have the real info coming into consciousness. I'll talk more about the subconscious later, but it's almost impossible for your conscious mind to access what your subconscious is thinking. It's almost impossible for your the conscious mind says, okay, right here, I want you to feel the seat of your chair. Now you're conscious. That's consciousness, okay? Did you feel it a minute ago? No. Mm-mm. But now we brought it into consciousness. Okay? All right. So, when the speed limit is 45 and you go 60, because that's normally what you do, that's the subconscious taking control and going, I see 45, but I do 60 and 45. And we automatically go there. We don't go, let's see. If it's 45 and I go 60, what are the odds of getting pulled over? Let me Google it first. That would be full consciousness, right? That would be, I am so conscious, I'm going to break the law and I'm going to find out what the odds are of getting caught. Okay, that is a real conscious decision. But do you see how most of our lives are run subconsciously? Like, we don't think that, okay, I'm going to go to 60, but let me pull over first and Google, oh, wait, I have to be parked because the state of Florida now says I can't be on my phone while I'm driving. I'll even shut the car off and I'll roll the windows down. So if a cop comes by and says, you're in your car, text me, I say, yes, but I'm parked and my car is shut off. See, that would be consciousness, right? Going through all that. But instead, so the subconscious is our knee-jerk reaction to life. Someone says something we don't like, so bam. Writing slows it down, slows this down. That's why we want people to journal every morning. That's why we want people to write in these manuals. I want your brain slowed down. You're being pulled in a billion directions. Slow it down. Focus, focus, focus.
Dave, on that?
What? Yes?
I thought part of the problem is our subconscious tells us the wrong things.
But it also can tell us the right things. Okay, and I'll get into that later, Sean. And when we hit the conscious, subconscious, bring that point up, please. It's a good question. What are the various ways to write? Well, number one is bullet points. The easiest thing in the world. Everyone can do bullet points. You don't have to write paragraphs or stories if you don't want to, but you can if you want to. Number two is outlines for success. I love it when people say, I need to change this behavior. I need to change this mindset. And here's the action I need to change. and here's the steps I'm going to take. So just like an outline, right? So we have bullet points, then we have like a formal outline. On the golf course, when I get frustrated, I'm going to go back to Sedona method. Now, if that's not in writing, and I'm speaking to all of our golfers, but Angelo actually sent me an email before coming here saying, hey, there's a couple things I want to learn from your course, right? And these things can be used with anyone, but don't allow the frustration of being in the moment to overwhelm you when we have techniques that we can shut them off right away and then process later. Does that make sense? So we want to get out of that negative mindset. We want to get out of that chatter. And we can. Could I? Would I? When? Could I? Yes. Would I? Yes. When? Now. And we move on. Right? And let's say that 45 minutes later you come back to that thought of insecurity, anger, rage, guilt, shame, whatever it is, and you go, oh my God, this is interfering in my day. Then we just do it again. Could I let those thoughts go? Would I let those thoughts go? When? And then underneath that, you could even write, at 7 p.m. tonight, I'll journal about this. You know, you can take it further. But we use Sedona to snap that mindset and to get us out of it. Remove before we add. Remove before we add. There's people that, I had a client that wrote in paintings. She had gone through a divorce and she hates to write, and she was an artist. And so every week we would talk about different parts of her grieving process, and whatever she was grieving, she put on a canvas and made like really dark hearts, black hearts with this tiny little speck in the middle. That was her hope when we were talking about hope. And she did it all in paint. It was magical. I wanted them. She wouldn't give them to me. But any way to write is great. Doesn't matter. Just write. Napkins, Phoenix Soul, the very first book I wrote, I'd say probably the first 40 writings were on the back of napkins in a bar. Having drinks. Okay, write to boost self-confidence. How do we write to boost self-confidence? What would that look like? What would we write about to boost our self-confidence?
You're amazing.
You're amazing. But after that, there has to be a specific example, okay? Okay, this is important. If you write you're amazing, that's an affirmation without legs.
Things we've done right.
Things we've done right. So we say, I'm so proud of myself. Look at what I've overcome in writing. Right? That boosts self-esteem. Here is where I was. This is where I am now. Boost self-esteem. I remember 20 years ago being X. 20 years later, here I am at Y. Boosting self-esteem. Right? Like, I like to actually go back into the past and have people take previous challenges and then look at today, and if they've overcome them, write about them. I used to do this. Like, I will tell you, and I write about this in the new book coming out in February on love and relationships. I mean, I just speak really openly, and I sucked in intimate relationships forever. I sucked. The minute there was conflict, I ran. I drank. I would escape, I would cheat, I would do whatever it took to not face conflict. And then in 1997, I took a course with another counselor for a year on shattering codependency. And I have slipped at times. I'm not going to say I haven't slipped at times, I have. But probably 90% of the time now, it's just me being open and honest and vulnerable. And that's what we really should be shooting for. It's incredible when you can see where you were and then where you are now. And you might look at it from your health, money, friendships, relationships, God work, spiritual work, whatever. Oh, I remember back then I was so confused and lost, and look at where I am now. Back then I would love to see you guys do those comparison writings right here to boost self-confidence, self-esteem. Remember, we are the ones, we hold the most important key for us to achieve goals and to feel great about ourselves along the way. It's not anyone else's responsibility. And one of the ways that we continue to move forward is by looking at where we were and where we are. So maybe you want to write down for this exercise, health, relationships, money, addictions. Maybe you want to write some columns down, right? Some trigger ideas, trigger points. And you say, where was I 20 years ago when it comes to how I handled my money versus today? Where was I 20 years ago regarding addiction today? How did I mess up my intimate relationships 20 years ago that I'm doing better today? Or maybe you might even say, You know, for 15, 20 years, I stayed in a horrendous codependent relationship that I broke. Then the breaking is the boost in self-esteem. Leaving toxicity of friends or family or whatever, that would be something right. Man, I lived in this for 15, 20, 25 years. And then I broke it, and look at where I am now. This boosts self-confidence, self-esteem. Then when we go down to the next one, the 4 and 4 journal technique, this is an abbreviated exercise for the one we just went through. The 4 and 4 journal technique says this. Step 1, number 1. Every day, write 4 or more things that you're grateful for or happy that you accomplished. So the first half of the 4 and 4 journal technique is every day write 4 things that you're grateful for or happy that you've accomplished on that day. It's all in the moment. We're staying in the moment. Thank you, Eckhart Tolle. There's a game changer. That guy's book, The Power of Now, changed my life in many ways. And that's where this exercise came from, is let's get in the moment. Right? So if you have 2 things or 4 things or 8 things, and we just start with 4 as a general number. Then the second half of the 4 and 4 technique is, what 4 things am I frustrated with today? What 4 things am I unhappy about that I did today? Now we're keeping it real. We're not going to live in a Pollyanna world where everything is rosy and great and beautiful. What? Can't I stay there? I want to live there. So the first, when you write about the things you're grateful for, the things you've done well, that's another way to boost self-esteem and confidence, right? You're seeing it in writing, which means it's going deeper into the brain than if you were just say it to yourself. And if you rely on saying it to yourself, most of us won't do it for more than a day or 2. We'll forget. But if you have a journal that you're going to write in, journal next to your bed, every night before I go to bed or first thing in the morning, whatever works for you, write about it. Then the 4 things that you're not happy with or frustrated with, that's a vent. That is allowing it to escape. Candace Pert, a friend of mine, wrote a book in the 90s that is unbelievable called The Molecules of Emotion. Molecules of Emotion. It's a beautiful book written by a neuroscientist about what happens when we express emotion. When we have tears, you know, we think of tears as salt and water. Tears are water and hormones. Yeah, there's a little salt thrown in there. But there's more hormones in tears than you could ever believe, which is why it's such a cleansing experience to cry. Why it's important to be able to allow ourselves to cry, because you're releasing trapped hormones from the body. Isn't that beautiful? It's crazy. You know, and a lot of guys go, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry.
Bottle it?
What's that? Bottle it. Yeah, that's... Yeah. You need some hormones today? I got a little vial. $50. What do you say? Okay, but writing every day, we're going to write every day. I gave you space to start here, but I really would love for you guys to get a journal and do your 4 and 4 every day, okay? All right, this is a homework assignment, getting focused. What do you want? Here's enough space. If you need more, write on the back. You should be able to fill everything you want, desire, need in the space, okay? I want you to get creative. Everything that you want to change, adjust, solve, or enhance. I want you to write a complete list out. Later on, I'm going to tell you what to do with this list, because we're only going to look for one thing to go after. But I want you to write the complete list, okay? Everything you want to change, adjust, solve, friendships, relationships, health, food, exercise, hobbies, volunteerism, everything that you want to change, everything that'll bring joy, energy, passion, I want you to write about here. Okay, then we're going to go into our first set of tools in regards to this whole thing of manifestation. What does manifestation mean? Create, bring forth, make it happen. Manifestation, it's like it's not a mystical world. All it means is goal achievement. Manifestation means we've achieved something. That's all it means. So the first one, intention. Okay, next to intention, write affirmation, because we believe we use those words interchangeably. If you like the word intention better, stay with that. If you like the word affirmation better, stay with that. All right, here's where we change it up. So in the past, I used to teach people that whatever your greatest dream or goal is to put it down as an affirmation as if it is in your life today. You remember those teachings? They're still being taught, unfortunately. So, you would be writing things like, I am a millionaire. This is what I used to teach people up until 1996. It's still being taught today. I am a millionaire. Now, if you're not a millionaire, what's the downside of writing, I am a millionaire? What's that? We're lying. We're lying. We are lying to ourselves. We're dreaming. It's nonsense, right? So every day you get up and you tell yourself a lie. What does it lying to ourselves daily do to our self-confidence and self-esteem? Puts it in the ditch. We know it's not true, but we're doing it for what reason? We were told to. That's why I did it. I swear to God. My first gurus in 1980, all the way through 1990, every one of them taught this. And because I was a parrot, without the fun colors, I would just repeat it. Why? Because he sold 1 million books. It must be true. Why? Because he's on, well, Oprah wasn't around, so he's on Larry King Live. It must be true. Right? Why else do we say intentions that are lies? What's that? It makes us feel better in the moment. It's instant gratification. It is, and guess what? There is a cascade of chemicals that come into the brain with every, it doesn't matter if it's a lie or not. The chemicals can't go, oh, she's lying. I think I'm not going to release myself today. I'm going to stay bottled up because that's a freaking lie. No! You say, I am a millionaire, and especially with emotion, right? That's the key that we missed in the early part of all this stuff, is that we weren't using enough emotion. This is what they're telling us now. And the vibration wasn't high enough. And when you're not using enough emotion and your vibration isn't high enough, then you're not going to get everything that everyone else around you is getting, supposedly, by following this stuff. So anyway, it's a lie. It's instant gratification. We feel better in the moment. Absolutely. All those things are really short-lived. And then we go on carrying a lie. What about I am a size 8 when I am a size 24? Well, that feels good again to say. I have a home on the... Who was I talking to? I was talking to someone about having a home on Lido Key. And so the affirmation was, and I have a beautiful home on Lido Key. And where do you live? Fort Myers. And do you have like a rental or something on Lido? No. Do you have leads into, do you have like, is there a contract to sign for them? No. Have you been to Lido Key? Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll start for something. Okay, so you've been there, right? But when you say I have a home on the beach on Lido Key and you don't, you're lying to yourself. Now, why other teachers don't share this, I have no idea. But you can't have a dynamic, self-fulfilling life if you have no integrity. And when you lie to yourself, you have no integrity. Can I get a yes? Yes. There's no integrity to lying to yourself, right? So what are we going to do with this intention affirmation when the way we've been taught to do it is 100% incorrect, in my opinion? And I could be wrong. I was in 74, Tuesday at 3. It's hard to even admit it to you guys now. But what do we do when we have this stuff that we bought into? Why do we buy into it? If logically, and now I'm dissecting this crap, right? And I'm using logic. Because we got to use logic. It's like in relationships. I say to all my clients, if you're just based on emotion, you're screwed. If you're based on lust and hopes and dreams, but if you're based on lust and hopes and dreams and consciousness and really paying attention to what you're doing moment by moment, that's a different thing. So when we use logic, we say, well, if I wake up every day telling myself something that's a lie, what's going to happen? I can tell you what happens because we've been doing this for so long. What happens is over time, you lose the energy and enthusiasm to do anything in the physical world to make this lying affirmation true. It doesn't come, and it doesn't come, and it doesn't come. And we don't look at it as it's not coming because I'm not doing any work. We don't look at it like that. We go, well, the book didn't tell me I had to do any work. The webinar didn't say I had to really get that uncomfortable. You know, like it just should be here. So this is what I want you to do. Write this down. Choose an affirmation that is exciting, passionate, and realistic. So instead of I am a millionaire, and by the way, millionaires make $82,000 a month. Just to put it in perspective. You know, we get so used to just repeating crap, you know, and we don't realize $82,000 a month. Do I have the gifts, the talent, the grit, the determination, the discipline to earn $82,000 a month? Do I have the gift, the talent, the determination, the discipline to earn $82,000 a month? That's a lot of money. About 2% of the population earns that money. That tells you how rare it is, right? So we're talking about an affirmation that most of us would never reach other than in our Walter Mitty mind, right? The fantasy mind. We'll reach it in our fantasy mind, but that's not doing anything for our self-esteem and confidence in the physical world. So we may say something like, I am currently earning $50,000 a year. I'm excited to increase that to $100,000 a year in the next 12 months by doing steps that I am uncomfortable performing. Now that would be an exciting, realistic, right? If you want to double your income in a year, my God, that's a huge move. Or maybe you want to say, I want to increase it by 50%. I'm earning $50,000 a year, and next year I want to earn $75,000 by doing steps on a daily basis that may not be comfortable. Okay? Realistic, exciting. Would a 50% increase in your income mean anything to you? Would it be pretty cool? You know? So why don't we start with something that is reasonable and exciting and passionate and get there, and then next year let's do it another 50%, and the next year another 50%, right? Tell me why you're shaking your head.
Because everything that I've heard has told me, take that goal that's in your head, that thing that you just thought about, now multiply it by 5. And it's counterintuitive even to SMART goals. But everyone that I've read made me seem as if you're doing it wrong. And so, you know, I just want to get to make another 5,000 this month. No, you're doing the law of attraction wrong. You want to be a millionaire by Tuesday. You're spot on.
Yeah. And so we say, let's dial it back. Now, the most difficult thing of the teachings that we're going through today is that we are going against mass consciousness. That's the hardest thing. I am logically giving you answers. You know, I'm not just pulling this stuff out of my hair. I'm giving you logic answers of why what we've been taught doesn't work, why I stopped doing it in 1996. I'm bringing logic into it. I am an extremely emotional person. I love the concept of quadrupling my income in the next 30 days. I love that idea. I also know it's pretty ridiculous. So I want to match my enthusiasm and my passion with my logic, and that's what I want you guys to do. Okay, but the next time you're online and you see one of those law of attraction quotes, like I saw one and I wrote about it in one of my books. I saw one and it said, you should never have a negative thought if you're using the teachings of the law of attraction correctly. So my client whose wife just died 3 months ago shouldn't be sad, shouldn't be mad at God, shouldn't be mad at themselves for not doing enough if that's what they felt, right? They shouldn't have any of that. Well, that's really ridiculous because we know that submerged emotions, and if you want to be positive all the time, that means you're submerging shit every day. Submerged emotions is going to grow and it's going to bite your butt and it's going to lower your self-confidence, lower your self-esteem, and probably lead you into behaviors that aren't healthy for you. Okay? So I'm going against mass consciousness. Now, we've been doing this a long time, going against these teachings. We've been doing it a super long time. But there's still a lot of pressure out there when you see these things coming through your feed. You know, there's a lot of pressure there to get sucked into the vortex of human nature, wanting the most out of life with minimal effort, which is why those programs are so successful, which is why infomercials are so successful. Can we get it? Right? It's like, and why car dealers are saying, or if you earn $400 a week, I can put you in a brand new car. Of course you can. And it'll be at 29% interest, and the loan will be 7 years long. And by the time you get done paying it, you will have gotten another car because that car will have died or whatever, right? But that's all mass consciousness. How can I get what I can't afford? How can I bring into my life what I'm not prepared for?
But it appeals to our sloth.
It's what?
It appeals to our sloth.
Yeah, it appears to our sloth. Oh my God. I've never heard that before. That is great. Yes, it appears. Yes, it's very attractive to the sloth within. That would be a great book. The Sloth Within.
She gets 10%.
What's that?
She gets 10%.
Yeah, then she gets 10%, exactly. Actually, Ann took a picture of me at doing my sermon 3 weeks ago at Unity St. Pete, and Ann, it's on the back of our new book coming out, and we give you credit for it. It's a beautiful picture, and that'll be out on Valentine's Day. So, pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. Questions on what we're talking about, affirmations, intentions. Yes?
What I'm realizing is this whole law of attraction and affirmation without action thing really makes us feel productive without doing the work.
Yes.
It's like as long as I said my affirmations 3 times a day, and these are things that I've done. As long as I said it 3 times a day, I've done it.
Yeah.
The person will take care of the rest. But if I'm not working, if I'm not calling anyone, if I'm not doing what's necessary to bring it in, it's just something stuck to my wall.
So, if you choose, and if you want to be on this ride with me to write something down, you can listen first, and you may disagree, and if you disagree, that's okay. I'll write it for you before you leave. If you disagree, that's fine. I believe the law of attraction is the Wizard of Oz behind a curtain doing nothing. That's what I think about the law of attraction. I think it's a Wizard of Oz. I think it's tomfoolery. I think it's magician's work. It's let me show you this, but it's not real. Yes?
The whole, everything I want is in vortex.
Yeah.
Manifested in my life, and that.
Yeah. And now I used to teach it, and I know what a trap it is because how hard it was for me to get out of that teaching mode. It was really hard. I wanted it to be true. And the thing that, and now let's go back to logic. If you have any affirmations that you've said for a while that aren't coming true, that haven't come true, this is the time to really awaken. The affirmation that I said for 20 years that never came true, that I hid behind, was I am David Essel, a child of God. Happy, healthy, and sober today. And it was a flat out lie for 25 years. I said that for 25 years every morning. And I felt great. And I got out of bed. I am David Essel, child of God. Happy, healthy, and sober today. Let's go kick it. And then the next morning, after a night of drinking. And the next morning, after a night of drinking. And Maharishi is the one that woke me up. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi from Transcendental Meditation. He's the one that during a break in our interview says to me, you have a lot of confidence in affirmations and positive thinking and all that stuff. I said, yes, Maharishi, I love it. And he said, I have one question to ask you. Is it in your reality? I said, what? He said, your affirmation. And I lied. I said, yes. I'm going to tell him I'm an alcoholic. That doesn't sound as good as saying that I'm sober and the affirmations are working. And it was after that interview and a few other things that happened with Maharishi that I said, oh my God, you've been lying your ass off for 25 years. That's something. So really evaluate this intention. I want you to have intentions and affirmations. Let me make this really clear. I love positive thinking. I do affirmations every morning. I do visualization every morning. I do my 4 and 4 every morning. I read my spiritual crap. I read my success crap. I get my head like in a really good space every morning, and then I let it all go and go to work. I don't think of another thing regarding affirmations, positive thinking, journaling. I don't do another thing all day long. All I do is go and do the crap I probably would rather not do. I'd rather just float in my pool all day, quite frankly.
I have something. I had health, big depression in my 30s because of family codependency, alcoholism in the family, blah, blah, blah. And I got to Canada, family helped me up there, and the friend of the family was a psychologist, and he goes, all right, he's like, I just want you to put these 3 words in order. To have, to do, to be. And I go, be, do, have. And he goes, exactly. He goes, that is the way to live your life. He's like, you've been living your life. If you have this, you could do this, and then you'll be this. And he's like, and this was the time of life. Miami,
Yeah.
boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying it changed my entire life.
Be,
that very moment.
do, have. Isn't that beautiful? Be, do, have. So what that says is when we act, when we act, we will then be able to create that which we want to have. Now, let me leave this little space, okay? There's a tiny little space. It's this big. I'm going to leave wide open for the magic of a miracle to happen, okay? I'm going to leave that wide open. I've had miracles happen in my life. Several of you guys probably have had miracles, right? I'm leaving the space open. I'm not saying that miracles can't happen, but I am saying we need to look at the reality of how often have they happened. How many words of affirmations or books that you read every day, or affirmative, what are those books that have like 365 days of affirmations type of stuff, right? I want you to look at this realistically. I want you to look at this passionately, but I also want you to look at it logically. And you know what? If a miracle is supposed to happen and you're sitting here and you're going, and I am earning $75,000, which is 50% more in the next 12 months by doing this, and the very next day you get a check for 25 grand, take it. Okay, don't wait to deposit it. Take the check and look at it as a miracle and go back to you. Now that I'm at 75,000, I'm going to up it to 100. So now over the next 12 months, I just got this check for 25 grand. I'm not going to mess around with the $75,000 goal. I already got it. Let me go to 100, right? But if the miracle doesn't happen, stay with something that's realistic, that you can measure, and that is exciting at the same time. And, because of our mindset, we've been told so much about how we need to be millionaires, and we need to recite that we're millionaires. We've lost the whole art of appreciation of any increase in income at all. It's like, and then we're going away from Eckhart Tolle. Again, I'll keep going back to Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle says, and this is the next step with gratitude, if you ain't happy here, don't think you're going to be happy there. And don't think you're going to be happy there. He's brilliant. And here's a guy that was writing this crap off of a park bench in the worst depression of his life, and he wanted to kill himself, right? And he's coming out with all this great wisdom. I love this dude. All right, next, gratitude. So I'm gonna follow up with Eckhart. Instead of being grateful for what you don't have, which is another huge integrity issue with this kind of positive thinking, I am so grateful for my $1 million salary. I am so grateful for my house on where, Marcia?
Lido Beach.
Lido Beach. I am so we've been taught, right? Okay, now is that the truth? If you're saying, I am so happy for my $1 million a year, is that accurate?
No.
Is it a lie?
Yes.
Unless you're earning $1 million a year, it's a lie, right? So we're going to reverse the whole thing. And I'm going hand in hand with Eckhart, and he's never met me, and I've never met him. But I love his concept. And so here's the new concept of gratitude that we write about in the book Focus that you're all going to get a copy of. We say, stay in the present moment with your gratitude. And do you know how much we have to be grateful for in this freaking present moment? It's sickening. But because of mass consciousness, we're saying, no. I'm going to be grateful for the size 2 body. I'm going to be grateful for the 7 homes on the beach. I'm going to be grateful for the $1 million. And we say, no, you know what? If you can get in this present moment, regardless of what your salary is, what you're struggling with, and be grateful for those things that are really powerful, like the fact that you had a chance to afford to come into a seminar, that you walked here or drove here, and you can see and you can hear and you can eat and you have a house. And like, this is what Eckhart was talking about. The power of being in now. If you can have gratitude for what you have right now, then our self-confidence and self-esteem will go up, and we're not living in an addiction in the future, which is what all those gratitude statements are. I'm so grateful when we don't have it. We're talking about there, right? There's nothing here. And what we say is, let's get here. Be grateful here. Maybe if you're single, you can go, I want to find gratitude for being single right now. Because I've been throwing out these affirmations that I need a partner to be whole, which we destroy in our new book on Valentine's Day. By the way. Oh boy, there's going to be a lot of hell breaking out there. Boy, in the new book, we prove statistically that 80% of the relationships in this country are terrible.
Whoa.
with statistics.
You tell us.
And I'm not just a huge stat man, but I can tell you this. The statistics are backed by 30 years in counseling. That's really so much of our work.
Why?
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 Lack of gratitude.
February 14, 2020. You will love it, Patrick. I know it's going to be hard waiting. But you know what I'll do? Before we go, we'll get your credit card and we'll make sure we secure one of the first ones. How's that?
Bill, are you changing your identity on February 15th?
It will be changed for me. When that book comes out, oh my God, it is such a trip, because we take all this mass consciousness nonsense and we just boil it down to, the pressure in society to be in love is ridiculous. The pressure in society to be in a relationship is sick. It's sick. And when we say, why do we have 80% of relationships unhealthy? It's because of that. We're afraid to be alone. We're afraid to be on our own. We're afraid of the pushback we're going to get from friends and family when we're single, women especially. Men have a different problem. Men's pressure is to make money. And guys are, put down, and they have all this incredible pressure to have an identity of being wealthy, an identity of being rich. And women have now you have the dual. But your real big pressure that we see is to be in love, in relationship. It's been around since the beginning of time pretty much, and it's all mass consciousness, I tell stories in there about women that have chosen to be single, men that have chosen to be single. I tell stories about people that thought they were going to be single for the rest of their life, and then after slowing down and not dating for a couple of years and being introspective and looking at the role they played in the drama and chaos, they go back out in love and they find really healthy love. So we're going to give everything an opportunity here, but the main thing is to shatter the nonsense. Same thing we're doing here. We're stopping the madness. Here we're stopping the madness with all the teachings out there about success. And in that book, we're stopping the madness with all the insanity talking about relationships. And so I think that's why I'm here. And I remember when our book, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, came out, I had a staff and about half of 10 people, and half of them said, "This is the end of your career." They were so right on my face. They were going, "Don't release it. You're done. You're done. You're going against Oprah," and I don't even know if Oprah still likes The Secret, but she used to love The Secret. You're up against The Secret and the law of attraction, and you're calling them out. But I did something better in that book. Is I just didn't use my own voice. I used some of the most powerful voices today in society that wrote their own little stories. Ray Higdon, that went from being a single dad with 2 kids, losing his house, no money at all, and he calls me and he says, "Hey, I need to meet with you." 2008, he said, "I need to meet with you. I don't even know what to do next. I am totally at a loss. I'm done. The real estate thing has busted. I've lost all my money. I'm going to lose my home. I have 2 little kids. Can we meet? And can we meet for lunch?" And I have no money, by the way. And I loved Ray's honesty. And so I said, yeah, we met for lunch. And at the end of it, I said, "Ray, geez, there's only one thing I can say to you. And that is, you have such passion, even in your pain. You have such passion. Find something else to sell, because you're natural at sales. You did great while the real estate market was booming, and you lost it all, and so did I, and so did a lot of people. So that's not the issue. The issue is, what's going to excite you?" So he left. He said, "Great, I'm going to do that." On the way home, he bought a book, The Secret. This is when it was popular. He went home, and for 30 days, he decided to build vision boards and do affirmations. And at the end of 30 days, he realized he was in the worst position of his life, 10 times worse than when he met with me a month earlier. So he decided to try to find something to sell, and he did. He found something. He couldn't sell it. It was a network marketing product, multi-level marketing. Couldn't sell it. And then some brilliant guy says to him, I wish it was me, it wasn't. Says to him, "Go after 20 no's a day, 5 days a week. Do not hang up the phone until you have 20 rejections a day." Ray thought he was insane, but he also had no other option, so he thought he'd give it a try. A year and a half later, he's earning $50,000 a month, 20 no's a day, $50,000 a month. Now he's over $1 million a month. Okay? So it tells you, all these stories that I share, the grounding force really is they're all doing things that are uncomfortable, right? It's like, I know it sounds shitty coming to a motivational lecture and having some guy tell you that I want you to do everything you don't want to do. Like, how motivating is that? But isn't it interesting that from Usain Bolt to Ray Higdon, that it's the same formula? And what if we go to my friend who I write about, Evelyn Keeling? Evelyn Keeling lost 240 pounds in her 40s. And in her 50s, walked on stage in Las Vegas, Nevada as a bodybuilder in front of 15,000 screaming fans. She has lifted millions of people around the world with her long-term weight loss of 240 pounds. And if you ask her how you do it, you ain't gonna hear affirmations and vision boards, okay? You're gonna hear removing all the crap out of my house so I wasn't tempted with junk food. You're gonna hear never going to a fast food restaurant again. You're gonna hear packaging my meals for the day so that I'm not tempted. You're gonna hear I was wheeled into a gym in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk at 240 pounds overweight. I was propped up on a treadmill with the whole gym staring at me. Day after day after day after. So I am telling you, we know what it takes to stop the madness, to stop the insanity, and if you're willing to follow the program, and one of the reasons why I bring in so many stories of other people is I want you to know this isn't David Essel. You know, I put it together in an organized way so people to follow it, but this is stuff that people have been doing since the beginning of time to create success. Can I get an amen? Amen. Right? It's like that's what it takes. You know, when we talk about writing a book is really challenging until you learn how to write a book. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. But writing a book is 1/10 of the work. That's the easy part. Marketing the book is where so many people lose it. They don't want to do the work. They're afraid to ask people to buy. They're afraid to ask, they're afraid to go on, right? So you can write a book, but that's 10% of the success of a book. Really quite interesting. All right, so gratitude. Questions on gratitude? It's, writing gratefulness for what you have, your gifts, your talents, your opportunities, whatever it might be. It's like, I want to be grateful here.
There's a little cute book called Gratitude by Melody Beattie.
Oh, Melody Beattie. Oh,
Awesome book.
Melody does some great stuff.
It's a little tiny book. It's such a good read.
Is it?
Yeah.
Listen, I owe so much to Melody Beattie because she's the one that cracked the code with codependency when she wrote her book, Codependent No More. She's the one, I really think that she was a leader in the field back then. Now we've seen that codependency is much bigger than just being with an alcoholic or an addict. Like, that's what her book was about, right?
What are you saying? What's her last name?
Beattie, B-E-A-T-T-Y. But she's phenomenal.
Is it I.E.?
Oh, I-E. Yeah, I think it is two T's and an I-E.
Yeah.
B-E-A-T-T-I-E. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that. I will humbly apologize for being incorrect and accept your correction.
Awesome.
Do you see how I handled that? It was a vicious response. It came from a place of totally tearing me down, and yet I kept my composure. Just responded in kind. Who said you can't have fun with personal growth? Okay, so I hope I can respond like that the next time someone cuts my knees off. And you didn't at all. You didn't at all. But no. I love it. Okay, action. Then the very last part, so you have the affirmation, right? That you want to increase by 50% or you want to lose a certain amount of weight that's realistic and passionate and blah, 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 right? You create that, and then you have the gratitude. I'm so grateful for the experience that I'm in today, that I'm able to drive, walk, do the things that I'm doing, have gratitude. Then the last thing is going to be really simple. I keep repeating it because repetition is the king to change, and that is designed action steps 5 days a week into the uncomfortable. So this is what we want in regards to changing habits, achieving goals. It's going to be designed action steps that are uncomfortable on a daily basis, at least 5 days a week. So we want to walk into action steps that are uncomfortable 5 days a week. Now, I also want to say that I highly recommend that this is done in a really organized outline. Like if you have a day planner or on your phone, that you would write Monday through Friday, like my client in Sarasota that sold more real estate when the market was at its worst. From 9 to 10:30 every day, he did what he didn't want to do. That's the kind of accountability I'd like you guys to do. So when you're writing down what you're going to change, like let's make sure it's written out. Monday through Friday, from this time to this time, I'm going to do these 4 steps or these 3 steps. Focused, logical, and logical.